There is good. No, he doesn't. I work with him. No, he doesn't. What were you doing on the street? No, you there headlining accident? Hold up. We got it out there. Well, that's 2.5 weeks. It's just like somebody would say, like, okay, we can all try it now. That's there you go.
Today's the night.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
I only saw that.
Maybe that's true. Good point.
Sit up, Howie. All right. Call to order. Let's rise for the allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. We go ahead with the roll call.
Mr. Barlow.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mrs. Piscato.
Here.
Mr. Hatter.
Here.
Mr. LaFever.
Here.
Mr. Matthews.
Here.
Mrs. Meixel.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Meter.
Here.
Mr. Wickham.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 26th board meeting. Do we have a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We show those are approved. We're going to make an announcement right now that we had a executive session prior to this meeting for approximately an hour to discuss a personnel thing and also a legal issue. We're going to go on to presentations and reports. Only one tonight, right? From the student? Or, well, we don't have any presentation. Right? Oh, you're okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so not much has happened since homecoming weekend a couple weeks ago, but I just wanted to report that student council raised $2,000 this homecoming, so it was a very successful. Other than that, the fundraisers that have started, Foreign Language Club has started a fundraiser for Operation Christmas Child. I know that a lot of kids have been involved in that so far. That's about it.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Troxel. Building celebrations. Brian?
Yes, so since I think I spoke last time, we've had successful completion of PSATs at the high school level in October. We've had homecoming, which was successful from a student perspective and from faculty perspective, I believe. A lot of participation in the event on Friday for the faculty dressing. Students were able to certain attire, and that raised money for charity. I just saw today too that Bag the Bounty, another fundraiser the high school did. I think we contributed 895 pounds of food. So that was, I think that was third most on the area that I saw. So that's another successful conclusion to the sports season at the high school. Quick turnaround, winter sports start next week. So that's good. And then also one last thing, fall play is this weekend, Friday and Saturday, if you're interested. So it's a wonderful look. Good play.
At the middle school, we had a very successful book fair. To the coordinator was Margaret Pennerbrock, and we actually had the highest sales in 4 years, which not just looking at it from a profit, but just for the support of literacy. We were very happy, and she did a wonderful job, and the other people who assisted her. The middle school had their talent show in October. It was very well received the evening before and then during our assembly. And hopefully, if you've been on the district website, you enjoyed some of the students' artwork on pumpkins. We do a pumpkin patch, and it's on the stage in the cafeteria in the last week of October. We do look forward to the parent-teacher conferences that are coming up, and the middle school is very excited to once again honor the veterans this Wednesday.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to public comment, and we're going to start with Dean Thomas.
Hello, I'm Dean Thomas. First off, I'd like to offer my congratulations to all the new elected school board winners. Secondly, I hope Mrs. Kugler will address the scores that were in this morning's Gettysburg Times. If you our Boy Scouts will be collecting foodstuffs on Saturday the 14th for the food bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Laird.
So I have one concern, because again, I don't see a posting for Mr. Carrier's position that's open. And that's concerning to me in this day and age that the school does not have an on-site IT person. I'm wondering why there has not been anything on the agenda to fill that spot. And I also have a concern about the elementary gym teacher. I myself had made a phone call inquiry at the beginning of the year, actually when Madeline broke her arm, because there was a paper that came home that said that elementary kids must do a makeup paper if they were going to, if they missed a gym class to get credit for the class, otherwise they would receive a 0 in the grade book if they didn't do the makeup form. And it said you had to go to the website for a makeup form, but it didn't tell you what website. So after Madeline broke her arm, I was told, don't worry about it. We understand Madeline's situation. She won't receive a 0. But I know there are other children who have received 0s, and it was reflected on their report card. And I also know that to find that worksheet that supposedly an elementary child is supposed to complete, that they cannot even read, the parent has to go to the middle school website because the gym teacher does not have a page on the elementary school Facebook or on the elementary school website. So if the parent doesn't know that the teacher came, they get this form. And it requires the parent to have the child do activities. Now, I'm all for children being athletic and getting their fitness in, but I think this is fully unreasonable for several reasons. One, the school's not even made the form really available. A parent cannot find it easily. Two, I don't know about you, but when my kid's sick, they only have gym once every so many days. I don't always know that it was a gym day. With my poor fever, am I going, oh wait, was today a gym day? Do I gotta go get a paper? So I think this policy needs to be addressed. I know that the gym teacher is in middle school. I understand there's some time for adjustment that needs to happen, but I think that time has passed and it's time that this be addressed because I feel that there are probably some elementary children who aren't aware of this policy, and now their grade has been negatively impacted on the first report card because nobody knew about these papers or they couldn't find them or whatever. So I think if they're going to require students to do these papers, they need to go home. Just like any other makeup work, they need to be sent home with the child to get the paper. Although kind of in the end, I think it's a little silly that we're having kindergartners, they're at the mercy of their parents now to get this done for their grade. And while I would hope that all parents would do that, we know that's not always the case. And now that's negatively impacting the student's academic outcome.
Thank you. Josh Lair.
I also would like to thank, like Dean did, everybody that got elected, not just for the school board, but municipalities, boroughs. Congratulations, job well done. I would also like to thank most of the board members sitting there for bringing this community together. It's hard to believe that it's only been about 18 months since a little birdie told me at field day for the elementary school that we would be losing our superintendent. Turned out that that was right, and everything else that we have found out has been right. So the majority of you, I'm not going to be upset to see you go. I'm going to be very honest. I hope the next board knows that their feet will be held to the fire just as you guys were. But I think they're ready for the task. And truthfully, thank you for your work when you did it. But in the end, all I think you did was incite the public. You have brought us together, and I appreciate that. But you haven't done much else. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Well, as you know, my theme is always security. Caroline and I drove around the school today, and I noticed back at the elementary school playground, there's a parking lot, and I've seen this before, and beyond that is where children play. Elementary school children are very vulnerable. I would suggest things like maybe call Valley Quarries, ask them to bring about 20 big rocks out like this. They would probably do it for nothing. I don't know. Put them across the line there along the parking lot, 6 feet apart. Then cars could not drive in their trucks. Now you can argue down here in the hockey field, the kids are vulnerable. But they're older children playing hockey. Little kids can't get away if they're up in the jungle. Secondly, I was going to suggest that we hold these meetings at the fire hall, because these doors are always open. I've talked about that before. But a new idea might be if you buy a couple of screens, one just past the door to the left, and one right out here, like at the post office. You could lock those screens during this meeting, and access would only be in that door and into this room. Just an idea. I'd like to also congratulate the new candidates, thank the old. And I would like to ask you to do 5 minutes on these debriefings like we do for our municipalities as opposed to 3. You might consider that. It's pretty hard to get everything out for me in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Sean Jones.
Yes, good evening. I would also like to congratulate the new candidates on their election wins. But what I really want to talk about tonight is the budget or the action agenda item in there for the budget, where you're considering putting a resolution in that you will not raise taxes more than 2.9% for the next fiscal year, the 2016-17 fiscal year. While I understand that 2.9% is a very significant increase in taxes, and I would hate to see my taxes go that much higher, I also don't like the fact that this board, which most of you are leaving, is going to handcuff the incoming board. You guys tasked Ms. Kugler with a 5-year plan. In that 5-year plan, there are a lot of expenditures. We are way behind in technology. We are way behind in building the There's going to be some stipulations there. And again, while I don't want to see my taxes be raised by more than 3%, I also don't want to see an outgoing board where the community spoke resoundingly that we don't like what you have to say. I don't want them to speak for the incoming board. I don't want them to handcuff the incoming board. So what I would suggest you do and what I would ask you to do is please not vote for a resolution that is going to handcuff people that are taking your jobs after the community told you we don't like the job you're doing. Thank you.
Committee reports. Bruce, do we have anything? Well, Nick? Nothing to report. Nothing? Okay. Any directors want to make any comments? Okay. I'd like to thank the board members that are leaving. It was a thank you all for your service that you did. And I have called all the new board members that are coming on to congratulate them as well. Left messages with some, didn't get a hold of everyone, but I wish the luck for best of luck to the future board, and good luck to all of you that have done such a great job. And thank you again for your service.
Thank you.
One person's laughing.
No comments? Okay, let's go right to the consent agenda. Is there any items to pull? Pardon me? 8. Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve consent agenda items B through E?
So moved.
Do we have a second? We do. Mr. Barlow? Is there any discussion?
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Moscato?
Yes.
Mr. LaFever?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mrs. Mikesel?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Meter?
Yes.
Mr. Wickham?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes. Okay, Lonnie, what's your poll on A? You want to go ahead and?
Well, I'd like to have the opportunity to hear the recommendation of our business manager and what her opinion is on going ahead and approving this item. And I'd like to know if it's possible, if we did delay it until the next meeting, will we still be on time?
You would be on time if you delayed it to the next meeting, and actually this was my recommendation. And if you read the background, the index is 2.9%, which get you 220,000, which isn't ideal, obviously. But your only other choices then are to file for exceptions that may or may not exist by the time that opportunity comes along. Those exceptions can be for certain medical expenses and certain retirement spikes. these occurs. And beyond that, then your only other choice would be to take anything beyond that to referendum, which typically this board has not had any interest in doing. So this is my recommendation. It does get you to sort of maybe a happy medium and allows you also then to spend a great deal more time putting together the budget.
Okay.
So it's completely up to you.
Just a clarifying question. If the 2.9 is not approved, then this thing would go to a referendum of the public?
No, basically what this is doing is the only thing that it's doing is altering your timeline. If you don't approve this by January 7th, okay, then I'm required to have a preliminary budget to you, and that preliminary budget is required to be approved somewhere early January. So basically, I'd have to start working on something now. I don't even know what, suppose what I'm getting next year, but I could certainly put that together. And you would be approving a preliminary budget with a lot of guesses in it, but you can certainly do that. And then you can change it by June to actual numbers. But what it does is it really starts the board, to me, sort of guessing. And in the end, most boards, and I can't speak for the new folks, but most boards don't recommend going beyond the index anyway. So you've done all this work and effort and supposition only to turn around and not do anything greater than this. Because the strings that are attached to doing something more from the state or from going to the taxpayers.
And Caroline, correct me if I'm wrong, the new board does have the option, the recommendation we previously tonight is they won't move above 2.9, but they can choose to raise taxes or not raise taxes. That's still the new board.
Up to 2.9.
Up to 2.9. This would indeed cap them. I don't want anybody to have any doubt about that. It
2.9, but
would
it does
cap,
not limit it
right,
from being able to do that.
right.
Now, there's no indication from going to change in the next 30 days, 60 days.
Actually, the
There's been-
Philadelphia paper just put something out just now, that there is a very, very tentative agreement. But I have no numbers. I have nothing. I don't know what that's gonna bring. And I also don't know what he had to give up to get it in terms of
Yeah,
referendum or
we don't know
exceptions.
how valid that is out
Right,
there, so.
absolutely.
So we really don't have something that says on December 24th, the new budget is coming out, or
No.
January 1st, the new budget is coming out. So really, all we can go by now is what we know.
And then Caroline, does your recommendation consider that we might have a city budget or we might not?
That we might want.
We might have money coming from the state or we might not. Does your budget consider that? Your recommendation?
We are, well, I think I can go out on a limb and say, we are definitely eventually gonna get something from the state in 14-15. It's just a matter of when. And it's also a matter of how much, because that's never been decided. Our budget, our 14-15 budget, do I think we're gonna get more than that? Yes. I don't know how much more. So I think from that perspective, we're okay this year. This is talking about next year. Whether you want to live within that 2.9% or not.
I think Mr. Jones should know, though, that historically, we have never gone above the index.
I understand that.
We have never put it
Right,
at.
I understand that.
I agree. I think it's likely we won't go above the index. I'd like to have a little more time with it.
Caroline, this index, that's given to us by the state,
Yes,
the 2.9. It's not made up by us.
No.
All right, and how much will the 2.9 revenue be?
on the numbers I have now, around 220,000
About 220,000?
in additional funds.
And if you need more, there's a referendum that you can apply for.
Not if you
Not if you
approve
agree
this
to this.
resolution.
I see.
So this resolution says that for the singlage increase would be 2.9, anywhere from 0 to 2.9. And the maximum new dollars from tax revenue that you could receive is approximately $220,000.
Caroline, I had called today and I'd asked you, how much is in our savings account? And I say that for this reason. We have done a lot with our schools so far as fixing up has done. And Nikki here can mention many of these things that we've done. And we have not had a tax, the increase to taxes for 2 years. And we still maintain, from what I can understand, the same amount in our savings account throughout all that time. Now, I did ask you, what is in our savings account?
The tentative results from the 14-15 audit reflect unrestricted fund balance of about 2.7 million.
$2.7 million. And that's even more than what we had prior to this, is that correct? With all the additions that we've done to the school.
Yes, it is.
I think we've done nothing though for 2 years academically. I mean, to be quite honest.
That's false.
That's not true.
How many teachers?
We have AP.
How much technology have you purchased?
Okay,
How much money
is there any
did you
further
take out for
discussion on it?
bonds?
Do we have a motion to table or to go forward? I mean,
I'd like to go forward with it.
Second.
There was.
Yes, I'd like to go forward with it.
okay, so we, okay, we had a motion to go forward to approving that item in a second. Is there any further discussion? Can we do a roll call vote? Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiscato?
Yes, we're gonna go forward with it, right?
To approve
To
item
approve
nine.
item nine.
Okay, yes.
Mr. LaFever?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mrs. Mikesel?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Meter?
Yes.
Mr. Whitcomb?
Yes.
And Mr. Hatter?
Yes, thank you. All right. You have, okay, so we're done. Okay.
I have an item I'd like
Do I
to,
come after that? Okay. Caroline?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Can we talk about the playground? We got
If you just,
some,
we'll let
Oh,
Caroline talk, then I do
I'm
that.
sorry.
Comment on the playground, yes.
Thank you.
Budget timeline.
I just wanted to say that I did send all the board members, and I know Ms. Kugler is giving the board members that are coming in a budget timeline as a way to sort of familiarize yourself with what's happening in my office to get to these different stages, tonight being one of them, the resolution. So you all know what our dates are and what we're being held to and what's due when. I think that's just an important document as we go through, this being the first piece, and so on, and what's required in May. You should be receiving it.
As for the playground, we have received the report from the Compliance Management International. This is the certified playground inspector. It is my copy.
Oh, no. I just said I wanted that song.
I'm sorry, she is not well.
Oh.
She's very
She
much
might
like
have been up for
yours.
sale on Saturday, but right now she's
She's
just.
just like you.
Here, I'm not sure what I see it up there. Okay. There were a few findings for the playground and what she did was actually in her report, 1 through 5. A priority 1 safety concern means the condition needs to be corrected immediately. A priority 2 was the condition should be corrected as soon as possible. Priority 3 was they should be corrected when time permits. 4 was should be corrected if it worsens, and 5 was it just needs preventative maintenance. So Mr. Kessler and I talked about what is it we need to be able to do. We definitely have to do the 1s and 2s before we can reopen this playground. And what are those 1s and 2s? Well, amusingly enough, 1 is the thing that everybody wanted on the new playground, swings.
they're really the downfall in those playgrounds, and they are the #1 safety issue. Haven't been for us, but according to the speaker, they are. The issue with our swings on the elementary playground is the swing zone. And it's right here. It's the fact that they can actually swing and, I guess, jump off or fall off, and actually, the conversation and how were you able to determine whether or not if we took these 2 swings away, whether we could leave the other swings and still be clear?
No, because when they come in conflict with the
With which beams? Okay. So therefore, that would mean that all the swings need to go.
or the balance beams.
Or the balance beams.
Can you be backed up?
Oh, they're in concrete. So, now granted, we could say, you know what, we're gonna take the swings off the kindergarten playground, and if they want to swing, then they'll have to go to the new playground. So that's an option for the board to discuss in the future. Another concern was exactly the balance beam. And according to, the balance beam is greater than 16 inches off the ground. If the protective surfacing was corrected, this would no longer be an issue. So the corrective surfacing is, again, the mulch. It says here there needs to be a minimum level of 9 inches to attain a fall of a height of 10 feet. Please be aware that mulch is not there to protect against breaks of bones. It is literally there to protect the user from potential head injuries. That's what the mulch is there to do.
Does it say what our current mulch is?
Yes, it does, Sarah.
Can I ask Mrs. Dickens a question since she's out there
Sure, be
on
my
the
guest.
playground? If you had the choice between keeping the swings or keeping like that balance beam, I mean, what do the kids use the most? The swings, yeah.
And I don't disagree with you, but remember, that was the first thing the safety inspector could not believe we even had.
I know, but we not had any problems with the kids on the swings.
In general, the swings was an issue. You know, you can't short the swings, that makes them higher yet.
Wait.
I guess we grew up in a time when.
Yeah, I know it's not.
Took our-
Oh, but it's horrible. You kidding?
I wonder if I can make the beach.
While we're waiting for that, can I ask a quick question? I help out a lot in the elementary school, and I was told that parents are not allowed out on the playground as an extra set of eyes, even if you have your clearances. I don't understand that. I would think that an extra pair of eyes to keep kids safe would be a good thing. So can somebody tell me why that is?
I don't know.
That's on page 47.
47, thank you.
Also, they're probably what you use swing rings.
I can't answer it because I really, that must be a building level decision because to be honest with you, in 16 years, I didn't know that was a fact, so I don't know.
As long as we're bringing something like that up too, as far as volunteers out on visitations, that how it is set up.
Absolutely.
I know that I met two teachers the other day, and actually the teachers would love to speak to that because they very much support the way it is. So I'm just giving you that as a heads up.
Not the ones I talk to.
Well, like I said, the ones in that committee meeting are more than apt to come talk about that. So I told them.
Maybe we should have
I said that I thought it would come up in
Yeah.
the December, or the future meetings,
Yeah.
so they need to be prepared to come and speak.
Because I know the lunch people even said they've lost revenue because they used to have the parents come and have lunch with the kids and now they.
And the answer, I'm sorry, yeah. But like I said, I did tell them that that if that's the way they felt, they need to be prepared to come and speak.
Yeah, they really do, because I would like to hear why they are opposed to having the parents come, you know, I didn't know their parents, right?
And to answer your question, Sarah, there's approximately 2 inches of mulch currently.
And 9 inches is what we're supposed to.
Yeah, so that was the next one. Get to the next picture here. Because I have all pictures. Okay, the other issue is, this is the gap where that swinging bridge, for lack of a better word, that the kids go across. This actually can be, if we tighten these chains and close that gap, the issue there is the fact that a child can actually fall through that hole currently and literally be severely injured. So those chains can be tightened to close that gap to make that functional.
Problem is that their body can pass through that.
But their head does, yeah. I didn't want to say that.
Thanks for the graphic, Howard.
That's what the ladies told me. I'm just giving you the scoop. They use devices where they actually measure it. One is an idea of an average child's body, and the other one is a head.
What? Yeah, really. I'm looking for the,
Same situations on that as
correct,
well.
the same situation is here, is that they can literally fall through
On the very top end,
right
on
there.
that platform, and then first rung.
Okay, now where's the one with the monkey bars? I don't know. There it is. Okay, the issue with the monkey bars is this bar right here, which evidently is what connects it to the platform or to the actual equipment. The bars to be out in front of them, so they have to reach out for it. When they reach on this bar, they are literally right over top of the platform, so if they fell down, they could actually hit the back of their head on the platform. So that's the issue with that, and she has no way to, nothing recognized to fix that.
So what are the recommendations to fix this?
Huh?
What are the recommendations to fix this?
There was no recommendation for that one, and the only recommendation that we can see is to remove the monkey bars. Because there's no way to cut that with the attachment. And yes, sir.
What about taking all that stuff out and having teachers organize games around this?
That's a good suggestion. So, some of the things we may be able to correct and reopen it, some of it we may never be able to correct and just never reopen this playground. And to go back and say, you know what, we need to either replace this playground or go with what the committee had actually talked about, which is to add a new playground, continue to add to it, and just have everybody use the new playground. So that's still discussion among the teachers. Yes, Mrs. Dickens?
Another big thing that I noticed when I was out there is the wood is so splintery.
Yeah, but that's actually a priority 3. That's as time approved. Yep, you're right. The splintered steps are another concern, but they were not a, how I lost you. They were not a priority 1 and 2, which is ones there. They are splintered, as you can see, and starting to be pretty rough. But again, they were things that you could improve on as time went on. They were not a priority for you this.
I can see why that wouldn't be a priority, because kids usually wear shoes, so I mean, although their hands.
Depends on which recess you're talking about. Yes.
Half an hour, 10 minutes.
Some are 25 minutes, some are 10, 15 minutes, depends on grade level and where, and time of day.
Karen, is it possible for the board members to get a copy of that report?
Actually, I was going to make you all copies, yes.
And is it possible to move in the direction of getting some kind of estimate to repair those items?
I think Howard will be working on it, has already started to work on that, and we'll, once he
Including
does
moving the screws?
moving them, you can't move them, they are in cement.
Well, it sounds like you need to just remove the entire play
Yeah, I mean, to move them, you're gonna actually. Yeah.
We asked that question.
We can't fix the monkey bars.
More expensive than replacement. Right, it comes down to the fact that it's probably 3 feet high if you want to fire that. It's like the.
Is this only the kindergarten that uses this playground?
Kindergarten and first grade, and maybe some second graders. I don't know. The second grade still? Just kindergarten one, that's what I thought.
Having had a child, and I know that that mulch is not designed to stop breaks. But I can't think there's a person in this room that doesn't agree with me that if there were 9 inches of mulch on that playground instead of 2, my daughter's arm wouldn't have been broken. And I think this board should put mulch on that playground right now. Today and in the evenings, and you don't stop that. And until we figure out what to do, please put the mulch on the playground. Just do it tonight, approve it, do it. It won't cost that much money, and if we don't need it, we can scoop it out and put it on the other one. Put the freaking mulch on the playground before somebody busts their head.
I would, do I hear a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I just saw your finger.
No, I was.
Okay.
Making a motion.
Okay, well, I didn't know whether she was waving or whether, oh, I can say something.
No, that's my way.
Make a
Okay.
comment.
Yes, go ahead, Howard.
I just want everybody to understand something, that we put mulch on these playgrounds every year. We did not this round, but speaking of the one we did. But typically in years past, we did both these playgrounds because they recommend 9 inches of mulch.
3 years.
3
years since there was mulch put in that playground.
No, it's not, no.
According to the documents that I got
It's
from
not
the
true,
school.
Sarah. It's not true. The mulch was put on that playground at the beginning of the last school year. Since I've worked here, okay, since the playground's been built, I'm telling you the truth. By the end of the school year, when you go to this playground, you will not have 9 inches of mulch on the new playground.
No,
It deteriorates, it compacts,
Yeah.
and I've checked with every school district in our IU group, and I probably got 15 responses. How often do you put mulch down? They all do it once a year in the beginning of the school year. So, yes, you should have 9 inches. How do we maintain 9 inches throughout the whole year? I don't know that.
Required to have 9 inches.
You can't have 9 inches for the entire year, Josh.
It's a
You'd be
wall.
putting it out there. Well, you don't put it out there every week.
I think.
That's not up to me.
I think we removed railroad ties that were
You should go
there
with
because they
playground.
were.
Okay,
hazardous.
Then this is, we'll have to put on the agenda for a further meeting. Do you have anything else?
I do. This side. We have certificates to present to the board members who will. Mr. Matthews. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Carr. Mr. LaFever. Right order. Mr. Hatter. And I also have a very special honor. I would like to explain to you the history of the honor roll of school board service. The legacy of school board service is firmly embedded in the history of our nation and its commitment to public education. Pennsylvania is one of the founding colonies of the United States, clearly established the concept of schooling in its first constitution in 1776. Later, the Free School Act of 1834 marked the first permanent state interested in public education and the birth of the locally elected school board. I feel like you've given a civics lesson.
I was just saying, that's in our presentation, 1834.
And giving more and more of their personal time to this non-paid volunteer effort. Since 1983, the Pennsylvania School Board Association has been recognizing the contributions of dedicated local school directors with long-term service. School directors are first recognized when they reach 8 years of service, and again every 4 years thereafter, through the honor roll of school board service. The honor roll is the association's way of saying thank you to those individuals who exemplify leadership and statesmanship, giving unselfishly of their time and talents for the future of our public schools, and putting something back into their local communities through the guidance of the education of youth. And I'm very honored to present this certificate of appreciation to Pam Mikesell for teaching.
You continue.
Okay.
We'd like to make one more comment before we end. I'd like to ask Howie to go ahead and make sure that that playground is clearly marked closed, signed closed, and then we move forward with getting estimates to get that stuff repaired as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And no discussion, I am guessing.
And if I could
All
just
those
see
say aye. Aye.
And if I could just see the new board electees for a few minutes, that'd be great. Don't worry, it won't take long.
Yeah.